What's up, y'all? We back with another episode of the QC podcast. I'm QT,
Record.
and today we want to talk about the possibility of the 12-team college football playoff expansion. It was something that, the college football committee discussed on June 10th, 3 days ago, and the possibility of it. So it's looking like it's going to happen. And Corey, tell me what's your initial thoughts when hearing that the college football playoff may be expanded from 4 teams to 12 teams.
Just like anything, it's a good and bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna lead to more teams getting exposure, more of the smaller schools. You know what I'm saying? Sneaking their way up in the. Now it is gonna lead to some blowouts. You know what I'm saying? Like we have in the past when there was more teams in the playoffs, when these schools come in. You know what I'm saying? They go undefeated, and then when they play a team that's heavy in the conference or heavy, you know what I'm saying, SEC type teams.
Mm-hmm.
And it be blowouts. Of course, the Notre Dame Bama situation that happened years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, any team is willing to have an off night. That's why I feel like it should be more teams in there. You know what I'm saying? They get the coaches a chance to coach. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's not always about the players. You know what I'm saying? They just be put in great positions. You know what I'm saying? Look at the Patriots. A lot of them boys look way better in New England than they do anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? That goes to the schemes of the defenses and how everything goes. So they give the coaches a chance to coach.
When I first heard this, I kind of disagreed with it. I didn't disagree with the expansion. I just disagreed with the amount of teams. So you're gonna go from 4 teams to 12 teams. I personally thought it should be at least 6 or 8 before we got that far, because in my eyes, you're asking a college football player to play in the 12 extra 3 or 4 games, which is good for film but bad for health.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Knowing how brutal the game of football is. Another thing for me when I first heard this was, did the more deserving team win with the 14 playoff bracket? Did the more deserving team get a chance to play in the playoff? Did the best team win each year? So I didn't think that 12 teams were necessary, because I still think we would have had the same outcome if we had 12 teams. But there were teams like the Ohio States in 2018, the Georgias in 2019, that I felt like should have had a spot in there, but they just came up a little short a couple games in the season, and it cost them the whole season. So I'm not a big fan of just putting, 12 teams in there, like I said, because it ain't basketball, it's football. So in my eyes, the 14 playoff bracket was a success, but I would have moved to 6 before I moved to 12.
Yeah, and then with that 4, they did have some years where, Bama wasn't supposed to get in there, but they put them in there. You know what I'm saying? Because of the strength of schedule and everything. So
that mattered.
Yeah, definitely. So what conference you think gonna have the most teams in the playoffs?
It's gonna be the SEC and the Big Ten, as always. Always, most definitely gonna be
Bama, Georgia,
maybe LSU, maybe Auburn. So that it's at least gonna be Texas A&M. Texas A&M is good.
Yeah,
they should have got in last year. That's a good team. So it's gonna at least
see that's a situation right there. Texas A&M could have upset somebody easily.
Mm-hmm.
They could have upset somebody easily. I mean, and any time an SEC team, you know what I'm saying, meet up with each other, it can be it's
50-50.
You know what I'm saying? So it can go either way. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it definitely give dudes a chance to display they can play with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a good thing.
Do you think this expansion will level the playing field for smaller schools? Or just we can go FCS. We ain't gonna get into the smaller schools and HBCUs just yet. But do you think this will level the playing field from Group of 5 schools to Power 5 schools?
Will it level it out? I mean, it'll level it out, but it'll show the difference at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So
because you also had a team like a Coastal Carolina team that last year that looked tremendously good and looked like they could play with a Texas A&M or maybe a Notre Dame. Play with them. I didn't say beat them, but play with them. So I think this is going to give those teams a chance to show who they really are in those situations, and show that the stars don't mean nothing, and just show them how close they are in talent.
I mean, right. Like, look at UCF years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The way they were playing, like, they couldn't play with anybody. You know what I'm saying?
They end up beating Auburn in the Peach Bowl.
Right.
But I say that's a team. I say that's a team that's an exception to this. Because that team was loaded with NFL draft picks. a great head coach,
Great coach.
which got the job at Nebraska the next year.
Right.
Mackenzie Milton was playing great ball. They had the Griffin twins. They had a first round corner and Mike Hughes. So they had a Traquan Smith that played for the Saints. Now they had a loaded roster. I think that team was pretty good. So I don't put that team with you know what I'm saying, smaller schools that's doing good. Surprisingly now, I just feel like that was not a once in a lifetime team, but that was a pretty stacked team at that time.
Right. I mean, to the coaches that's actually building these programs up, this their time to shine. You know what I'm saying? That's been there for years. You know what I'm saying? It been a game away. You know what I'm saying? It's their time to shine. So I think it's definitely gonna turn it up more.
You look at the Peach Bowl from last year when Georgia played Cincinnati. They gave them all they could handle. So I think it'll be games like that, and I also think it'll be games like, why did they even expand this? Because I think, like I said, 12 teams too many. I was a fan of 6 because you're not asking them to play nothing, probably one extra game, and the 1 through 4 get in the playoffs. 5 and 6 is like they should be in, but it's controversial. So it can be 2 teams that's 10 and 1, 10, you know what I'm saying, 11 and 2 or something like that.
Right.
And you don't really understand which one more deserving. So then you go to strength of schedule. Well, they played people that weren't good, but they dominated them, or they played people that were good and it was a close game. So it's really iffy with that. So that's why I say 6 teams. Like I say, 12. That's too many for me. If they was to do this change, it'll start in 2023, so it wouldn't be in effect this year.
I wish they could have did it this year, man. Because
I don't want to see it.
Because you know what I'm saying, I would want them to do it when it's no guarantee who's gonna win the championship next year. You know what I'm saying? It's right now. That's how it is. It ain't no guarantee who. A lot of people losing a lot of, like, you know what I'm saying. Matt Jones, you know what I'm saying. Fuente gone. Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, they gone. You know what I'm saying. It's wide open right now. So.
And last year was a weird season because of COVID. So you had teams that were undefeated, but they only played 4 or 5 games.
Right.
And those teams were the teams that had opportunities to make the playoffs. So, and next season it should be back. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the whole COVID situation, it should be back regular. Everybody should be playing each game that's on the schedule. So that won't be an issue anymore.
Right.
Let's get into our first sponsor, T-Watt Productions. Winners Only Productions. These guys, they make highlights, they make film, they make workout videos. The link to the Instagram will be in the description below. But if you're an athlete, trainer, trainee, I even got me a video done from them, from football highlights. Make sure you contact them if you want something done. The link will be in the description. Now let's get on to our next topic.
And that being said, high school athletes too.
Definitely.
When you leave high school, your huddle account may be gone.
Whatever y'all
use.
Your
assets, nothing no more. So you know what I'm saying. Get you a highlight made, man, so you can have that forever. Post it whenever you want to post it or whatever.
Most definitely. Shout out to T-Watt Productions, man.
Yeah,
let's move on to the